Welcome back to Seen It Before, where we're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan, and this week we got a returning guest from a few weeks ago, Cameron. He's in the studio here. There he is. He's back. And we're watching Babylon, the latest Damien Chazelle movie. But first, Danny has an important news bulletin.
I guess we could say we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
Hopefully he doesn't shit all over me right in the beginning and freak me out.
Spoiler alert.
I was thrown off right there. But anyway, so I shaved my head. You know,
He is.
Yeah, I am hair free for the current time being, and hopefully my So what'd you say?
For the best.
Is that everywhere?
Everywhere?
Obviously my face, but
I don't shave my armpits or anything.
yeah, that's fair. All right, cool.
Yeah, so hopefully you can my hairline. And my hairline, it looks like an M, because for McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
I'm loving it. Sorry, I'm loving it.
There you go.
Yeah, so hopefully it's a little thin in the top, but we'll get there.
Looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, man. Okay. I appreciate it. Anyway, we watched Babylon, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
No, what? That was so subtle. That was very subtle there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for having me on. We're really branching out. We're talking about a movie, that has Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Hollywood in a changing era.
Yeah, crazy. It's
Yeah.
definitely not deja vu at all.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Where's Gavin?
I know. We miss him.
All right. Well,
Let's get to it.
Babylon to me is this larger-than-life, boisterous movie that has the feel of being what?
I shocked myself.
Oh, it has the feel of being large, larger than life, but it lacks in the character department. I think to me, some of them were done well. Others, Brad Pitt was very standard, I'd say, in his character. It's pretty much a mix. We talked about this earlier today. A mix of Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's basically Leo in that. Yeah.
And his actual character, Cliff Booth. And then you said another one too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's purely surface level. Brad Pitt in Glorious Bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Italian. Poorly. Very poorly.
Yeah. But it's also
his Italian's better in this movie than it was. Lamy.
but yeah, they're all full of shit.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
That's what Hollywood is. It's full of shit. And
Yeah.
I'll get shit out in the first 5 minutes of this movie
Yeah.
by an elephant.
The thing is, I'm confused at what Chazelle's trying to say with the whole movie, because it's clearly from the beginning, this is a very not glamorous thing to do. And at the end, I feel like he's trying to say, with that whole montage, I know I'm skipping right to the end, but with the whole montage at the end, he's saying it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about that one. It looks like a horrible, horrible industry to be in. And everyone, nobody's your friend. And it just seems like an awful kind of
Well, you have a good thing to say about that, Ron.
Yeah. There's a really nice podcast, the DGA. It's almost as good as Seen It Before, I'd say.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And Damien Chazelle was on it to talk about Babylon following a screening of the film with the Directors Guild of America. And he said, La La Land was a dream. This is a nightmare. And
Yes.
For many reasons, it's a nightmare. And I think what I like about the movie, I don't know if I love it. There's another really nice quote from Adam Naiman, the film critic, who says, it's so hard to love and so hard to hate.
I get that.
And that's how I'm feeling right now. And I saw the film yesterday. So it's been, 24 hours or so?
Apathetic isn't the word for it, though,
No. Because it's anything but apathetic. Because it's so full of movement and oh my goodness.
The production value is
a lot of
insane.
A lot of it, I had this thought, you guys seen Boogie Nights?
Oh yeah.
So the scene where
this is what this is
with the firecrackers.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just this isn't that entire that whole scene for the entire movie.
Yeah.
But
let's not forget that Boogie Nights is also a film about the transition from film to digital.
Oh yeah.
And now Babylon is silent to sound.
Yeah.
They're both films about transitional periods.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But however, and what I think Boogie Nights does much better is that character progression of the protagonist.
Yeah.
Who's entering this world. Manny is entering this world, played by...
Do not know his name.
His name is
Thank you,
Diego Calva.
He had a little thank you at the beginning of my screen. I'm not sure if he had it for yours
we had
too.
that as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
where they're like,
Mario.
this is great
Yeah.
that you're seeing it in a packed theater.
I thought it was sad because it's like they have to thank us for showing up. I'm like, oh, you know.
Well,
Quick number check. How many
Yes.
people were in your screening, Dan?
in my screening, there were probably about maybe less than 10.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I had like 30.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. It's pretty kind of packed.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, good.
And this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. So like, it's roughly around 80 million this movie took to make.
Yeah, it's
which
not
is the
doing
highest
too
budget
good.
I think Chazelle has had.
Probably.
I want
I
to say.
forget what First Man was.
First Man might have been higher, but this one
VFX.
only made $5 million opening weekend.
Christmas weekend too. Yeah. Like people go to the movies during that time. So it's I feel real bad, you know. Because this movie like it's not his best. But I do think it's better than a lot of what's come out or what is coming out this year because obviously we're in that time where it's just big blockbuster movie or short or small little indie movie. And this is kind of
Reboots and cash
balancing.
grabs.
This is like in the balance of like that mid-budget area. You know, Christopher Nolan tends to do that, but he's actually more on the
Maybe
higher
not
side
with
too.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's more up there, but you know, like his older movies like Memento and
That's his first movie.
that was his second. Insomnia was his first.
No, the
Oh wait, no, Insomnia was his second, right? Yeah.
Oh, I was right. Holy shit.
Oh, Following was his first. Was that technically a film or was that a student film or like? Yeah, it's
Sure,
like
it's
in
a
the yeah.
Let it happen.
It's funny because he used the main character Cobb for like 3 of his movies or something like that. Like, what's with that? I don't get that. Oh, by the way, so wait, you said on the DGA podcast, the interviewer, his name was Neiman, right?
Oh, that's just another critic. That's just a film critic.
Yeah, I just thought that was ironic because Neiman in Whiplash.
All right.
Sorry, Dan. Did you have anything else to say about monies?
About the monies, no.
The monies.
I was just gonna get into like the first part of the film, like the cold open before the the partying and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, so we talked about this before the podcast. Before we get like really into the meat of this movie, we did a ranking episode last week before we saw The Whale, and I was thinking like, oh, it's not gonna make it. It's my number 3 now. So
Wow.
Yeah, and it's my number 4 now. It pushes back
right.
to number 5.
Okay.
And
Brendan
yeah.
Brendan Fraser deserves the Oscar.
He-
I haven't seen a better performance this year, maybe not even the decade. So
Yeah, it's crazy
I
how
gotta see it. Now, guys, how can I find this video of your top 10 of the year?
follow us on YouTube
Oh, wow.
follow us on YouTube and
and Instagram, and we don't use Twitter too much, but TikTok. a lot. You know?
the thing that's gonna be right above my head, right here.
So many
right above
socials.
one of our heads. Right
It
here.
kinda shoots out
somewhere
over
in
mine.
that area.
Yeah.
It's over this area.
Follow us, yeah.
Yeah.
If you so choose.
So the visual aspect and the production of this movie is wild. Even with that very first scene, like the camera's dollying and going all in there throughout this crowd and everything.
Yeah.
There's this quote here that says, Chazelle's camera dollies and pans and steadicams relentlessly through the debauchery as if to say, isn't this wild?
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing because you guys yelled at me for texting you in the theater.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm like, they said,
I was like, it's wild, guys. You're like, yeah, I know. Watch the movie.
As a former movie theater employee, I have to chastise.
Yeah.
He's one too.
I had to yell at a few people too, you know. Yeah. Well, it was weird because one time my old babysitter was the rowdy one in the theater. I had to be like, hey, could you don't. Yeah.
And I think this movie is like a good mix between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hail Caesar, which I haven't seen Hail Caesar, but I know the production value of that movie, and it looks
gorgeous.
Gorgeous, yeah, exactly. So
Really nails that like golden age of Hollywood look.
yeah, I'm gonna watch that. It's not like Netflix or something.
It's on Netflix.
I saw it in theaters and I did not like it. I just didn't vibe
It's a
with
comedy,
it.
isn't it?
Apparently.
It is a comedy.
The one funny scene I got was with Alden Ehrenreich.
What did it twas?
What did it twerk? What did it
What did it
twerk?
twerk?
He said it like 20
That
times.
were.
Well, that it were.
I would also offer up Boogie Nights, especially with a camera. Where it's pushing in. Oh my goodness, it's hard not to get excited by Chazelle's craft.
It's
really difficult not to get wrapped up in it.
Well, he clearly knows his shit. I mean, I didn't realize.
He loves this time period too.
I feel like it feels like historically accurate. A lot of what he's doing in the movie with other than the
Maybe
three
not
main
the devil's
characters
asshole,
are made up.
You know,
Wait, who?
the devil's asshole. Maybe not that.
We'll get to that fucking scene. What the fuck, man?
What are some of the stuff you liked about the production of this movie?
Something that I guess we can also tie this back to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that idea of having one foot in reality and one foot in that nightmare world.
Yes.
Where originally the character was supposed to be Clara Bow, a classic Hollywood starlet from the silent era who was known as the It Girl, like one of the first women female film stars of that generation. And so, there's a lot of realty to that. Clara Bow's mother had some mental instability and gambling issues and whatnot, and a very mysterious disappearance. Nobody really knew what happened to Clara Bow, which is very tragic. And of course, that parallels Margot Robbie's character. Brad Pitt's character is very much kind of like a Douglas Fairbanks, kind of, the swashbuckling guy. One thing I always love how it's like every time we come back to him in this story, he's got another wife. It's just very funny.
Yeah.
How he
Very
can't keep it. Yes, very Rick Dalton. Yeah. And but then also Louis B. Mayer shows up, the head of MGM, and
Oh, is that Jeff?
Close. I don't think he was based, but I mean, he's given Harvey Weinstein vibes.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they were going for.
Well, when that whole thing happened, he would. What's his last name? Jeff
Garland.
I want to say Goldberg because he's on the Goldbergs, but Jeff Garland. He said, "Oh yeah, people just started yelling at me on the streets because I kind of look like Harvey Weinstein." I felt so bad for the dude. Damn.
Yes, there's a great Curb Your Enthusiasm arc. He's in that show. Oh my gosh, so funny. But I think he's really good in it too. And also, you're thinking of women being kind of chewed up and through the ringer of Hollywood. And of course, Manny walks by a poster of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
And he goes to the movies and he sees a Judy Garland film. And so I think Chazelle's very aware that what he's telling is not exactly totally original. There is stuff that he's heavily borrowing from. The big one is Singing in the Rain, and I would love to talk about that later on because I love Singing in the Rain, and there's a lot of that in this movie.
Just watched it today.
Yeah. So
we watched it today.
Well, I noticed that there's a scene towards the middle of it where they're singing in the rain, like a whole choir of them. But that's 20 years before the movie actually came out. So was that real? Did they?
Yeah, Singing in the Rain was a real song before the film.
Okay.
And then the film kind of.
And then they merged
and now you think of Gene Kelly when you think of Singing.
Yeah, I think of that scene on the light post. Yeah.
And that's the movie that Manny sees at the end.
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain.
And then it blows his mind.
I'm sorry, production.
Oh yeah. No, Danny, do you got anything?
Well, was this shot on film? Because it feels like he would do that just to honor it. So yeah, it looks good. Although was it completely shot on film or because I know a little bit about digital cameras and if you shoot low light and you just bump up the ISO, there's gonna be a shit ton of noise. And I noticed a lot of it specifically kind of things like the second scene or whatever. They're walking down this this alleyway, and I'm you can kind of see what's going on, but it's very pixelated and fuzzy. It doesn't look like a film artifact, thing. So I'm just wondering if he used some of it and then made it look like film or whatever. So
Like a filter.
Yeah, that's what I do on some of my old videos, to cover up for the YouTube DMCA stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And especially when they go outside in the sun and the sky is just white. It's not even blue. It's just so oppressive, the heat, especially in that post orgy scene when they're all in the desert. That's my favorite chunk of the film. Where we get a lovely cameo from Spike Jonze.
Yeah, dude.
Which is so well.
I'm like, what the fuck? He's this German director guy.
Wacko Werner Herzog, just insane man.
He's like, I'm sorry, God, I wasted the light. Dude, yeah. Underrated, because he shows up in Wolf of Wall Street for no reason.
Yes.
Why are you here? But okay, So, but I love his scene in that movie because he's just Jordan Belfort's he's saying oh, you sell this stuff for a penny, I could sell you a shit ton of this. He's like, if you sell me, this much stock, I'll suck your dick, and I'd be happy to. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of random cast of characters. Tobey Maguire, obviously, and
Yes.
and it turns out he's a producer on this movie. So like,
I know. I was shocked.
I'm like, he had to have included, like, he saw like this scene with the devil's asshole. I'm like, he's gonna do that. He's like probably his idea.
Speaking of Tobey Maguire, let's get into the acting of this film now.
Yeah.
So, best performance of the movie. What do you think?
Ooh, I don't know. It's not Manny.
No.
No.
I think that's maybe the character. We were talking about
Yes.
this. It might just be the character and the way he's written. It's just kind of boring, kind of just there.
It's very stereotypical.
And
Yeah,
like-
I mean, he is the everyman. I think that's what they're kind of going for.
Yeah, and
so
the will they, won't they of him and Margot Robbie's character. I'm just like, oh, I fucking hate that. It's so
I didn't buy their romance.
I didn't either. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But
Probably Margot Robbie just because she's like,
Yeah.
it's very different from what I know her to be. So
Fearless.
this is one of
Freaking
this
insane.
is probably my favorite Margot Robbie role because I don't like her as an actress, and I liked her a lot in this. She did a great job.
It's the snake scene. The snake scene is phenomenal.
it is.
Great. Great stuff.
I love how her dad is Falcone from, or no, what's his name? The other mobster from The Dark Knight.
Really?
Yeah, he's the guy who gets dropped off the fire escape. He's like, you won't kill me. He's like, no, I won't, and drops him, and then he breaks both his legs.
Oh,
Maroney, I think is his name.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But yeah, it's first serious role for Brad Pitt in a while. I'd say it's somewhat serious of a role for him.
Yeah.
For me, it's a very easy performance. I don't know if I don't know.
He has a few good scenes, you know.
He does.
Where like it relies on him.
Yeah.
I think Margot Robbie really killed. Now I'm thinking back because there's the sound scene on the soundstage
Yes.
where they, I imagine like it's exhausting to watch in the movie, and I imagine how many takes they did just normally for this movie. Like the meta wise. So like she and her having to act like stressed and like overworked.
Yeah.
Like every different take and get progressively. That's a hard job to do, and then balance obviously all the dancing and stuff and her really throwing it out there. You got to be like a really confident person to be able to act like that, So
And that whole sound scene is just singing in the rain with a pressure cooker of hornets, because the same scene happens in Singing in the Rain where they're trying to do a sound thing and she can't say the words correctly and she's missing her mark and she's looking away from the microphone.
Yeah.
But in this, it's just like cranked up to 20. And
Have you seen Into Oblivion?
no,
It's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's like I think it was technically a student film. It's all black and white, and it's just kind of like a day in the life of a movie set.
okay.
And everything goes. They're trying to get like one scene or like one take of this thing, kind of like this show. There's this movie, and like everything goes wrong. The light breaks. The actor has like a coughing fit or whatever, and then just everything goes wrong. And then Steve Buscemi's like, "Fuck, we're taking lunch," and then that's the midpoint of the movie.
Oh, that's
so then they
funny.
come back. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a nice
To
little
Oblivion. I'll have to
thing.
check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean I think the sound scene is my favorite scene in the movie because I just loved it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to talk about a little later is do you love it or do you hate that scene? Because that scene was fantastic.
Yes.
And yeah.
I was appreciating the craft at how it was making me feel rather than how I was feeling, because I was getting very stressed.
Yeah. It was a very anxious scene.
And most of that is driven by, I think his name's PJ Byrne, the AD actor.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. And then like
poor
the
guy in the
executive
camera
comes
booth,
in.
Oh my God. It's fucking hot in here.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, get,
Hey,
the, fuck in
back
your
in there."
box. He closes the door on.
Another holdover from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, but I liked that scene because I wrote I was like super into like the craft of filmmaking when I was like in like senior year of high school. So like I would try to cram it into like everything I could do for like assignments for school. So I wrote this one essay where it was just the point of it was the effort and like craft that goes into making something so small, and it was just an essay of this guy, a lot of like this scene where like they're messing up every take, something goes wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then they're in the editing booth later on and the director's like, deleted scene. You know, you just like scrap it. You know,
Yeah.
I spent a whole 2 days filming it. And it's just not useful.
Spend a whole afternoon pushing an elephant up a hill, and all it does is shit on you.
Yeah.
Right.
What a way to open it, too.
I know. Before we get to this, there's one more thing I had on the acting. It's harder to connect with some of the side characters in this, like Lady Faye and what's his face? Sydney Palmer. Because
I like his little B plot, but
Yes.
I did like his B plot, but Lady Faye, I really don't think she was needed in the movie.
I think she kind of helps flesh out Margot Robbie's character, in my opinion.
for that one scene.
Nellie. I don't know. I feel like it colors her heartbreak,
Okay.
for me at least.
Okay. Okay. I
don't think it's essential, but I did like it. Yeah.
I also said it's kind of like a commentary on like how old Hollywood didn't want to include gay or black people in the movies. Right. So it's just like, oh, they're just kind of off to the side. They're not really here.
Yeah, but in the end, they're the ones that make it out unscathed.
Exactly, which
you know?
is
So
crazy.
Exactly.
because you know, like luckily for Sid, he has like a lot of self-respect. You know, like I wish he didn't like do it.
Oh,
You know,
heartbreaking.
I wish he would have left before.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's but that's that one shot of him, because it's just a still shot like in front of his, like looking at his face when he's like kind of going through like the takes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
Yeah, if anything's a little jab at the Academy, come on, guys. Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
wonder-
honestly, I wish I could have seen that movie.
All right. We've already talked about the opening scene enough. Let's get into the real meat of this movie. So, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about from that. You know,
It was nice to see Flea acting again.
yeah,
love Flea.
and not just an Obi-Wan, where he can't run around a tree for some reason, but whatever.
that was weird. Anyway,
But also, what a way to fucking start off this movie. Like
30 minutes.
I'm like, oh, the elephant is literally shitting on him and the camera and us. And then, you know, they get it up the hill and stuff. And then it goes right to the piss kink guy. And I'm like,
Yes.
like she's like
And there's
doing
the
like a
dude with
dance.
the
Like,
giant dick. Just
I'm like, oh, I'm thinking like,
Yes.
oh, it's just like a regular, oh, she's like doing coke. She's doing like a sexy dance. Oh, she's pissing on him.
yep.
It was
Yep.
very weird. And then she's dead,
She's dead.
or
She's-
sort of.
She's sort of dead.
And then she
We don't know if she's
overdoses or whatever.
actually dead. But
I'm
there's
like-
a lot of people that die in this movie.
Yeah. So it's like I couldn't tell if Chazelle was being like, "Hey, isn't this crazy and fun?"
Right.
You know. But now, he says it's a nightmare. I'm like, "Yes, you nailed it. I hated that.
Yeah.
Like that does not look fun to me or like my vibe."
Yeah.
So
You're not vibing with it.
yeah,
You are the sober person in the room full of drunks, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Get me out of here."
yeah, it's crazy. They
Or,
use an
you know,
elephant
Give
as
me a
just-
drink, please.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, I don't want to be pissed on. I don't get it. But whatever.
We're in the desert now. So
Yes.
Brad Pitt just gave
Like, on
What's
set,
his fa-
like, are you talking like on set?
Yeah,
with like
the
the
desert.
first
On
okay.
set.
so Brad Pitt
On
brings
sets, yeah, multiple sets.
Diego Calva's character to the desert. First, the very first movies in Hollywood were apparently made on the desert. The talkies,
Yeah.
or the not talkies, whatever the hell they're called, the silent movies.
Yeah, they made sound
Unreal.
stages
They're not
out in the
talkies.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's it's wild. It must be really fucking hot out there. Oh my
Yeah.
god. The battle scene where they're in all that armor and they're just like
Yeah.
running at each other. It's like,
Yes.
I didn't know they were using actual shit, like actual
I
the actual
know.
weapons. Like,
Yeah.
you see people literally bleeding out. I'm
dying.
like you're making a war movie, not an
Yeah.
actual war.
Not
like,
an actual war.
bro,
Crazy
chill
German
out.
directors, man. Crazy German directors. Apparently.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes.
Some wild
Yeah,
shit.
that's something that Chazelle touches on is like
Yeah.
he loved the idea of like there were just multiple movies going on like right next to each other.
Because
Like,
you didn't have to
take-
worry about sound.
Exactly.
It's it's kind of like, yeah.
How many of these can you pump out? They're all like 10 to 20 minutes, probably most of them anyway. The silent ones.
Yeah.
So
Play before a feature or something.
yeah.
And that's where Margot Robbie gets her shining moment.
Yes. And
Yeah, we were trying out. She's like actually. Well, okay, so first off, I think it was kind of a smart move to make it a woman director, be it completely dehumanizing her.
Right.
To say not, it's not like because I'm sick of hearing just it's just a white man, like they're the problem, whatever. I like it that it's the system that turned her into this
Yeah.
person, and she's like, no tits. Like, oh, I guess we'll use her, like completely just like she's just a pair of boobs or lack thereof, know?
Yeah.
And then she like proves that she has actual talent and then they devour her after that.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah,
very sad.
I mean, female directors were really prevalent back in the silent era. It's just
Interesting.
There was such a lack of preservation that, sadly, so many of these films don't exist. Alice Guy Blanchet is a big one, or Dorothy Asner is also really good. But
I know we hate her, but like, not many people like say, what's her name? The Nazi director, like,
Spike Jonze?
no, I mean
Spike Jonze's character.
Leni Riefenstahl. She's a girl, right?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
Riefenstahl.
Yeah. So she's the most popular German director at the time. Obviously, she's an awful person, whatever.
Yeah,
but like, we don't like her. But like that's like not brought up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we all hate Birth of a Nation, but we appreciate its filmmaking.
That's the thing.
Like that's the first like reverse shot or something like that, or like first like
Nah,
parallel editing
parallel
movie or
editing,
something like that.
thank you. Yeah.
Something in film canons, but
Yes, and I think that's kind of what Babylon is. It's saying it is so frustrating to love Hollywood and love filming because so much of it is rooted in exploitation, in death,
No
in
personal
manipulation.
boundaries whatsoever.
Exactly.
You're just
so many people
thrown into it.
die just for doing their jobs or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time in this movie, and nobody
poor
cares.
camera guy in the booth.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, oh, he's dead. Cut to the next scene. He's just a camera guy.
Yeah.
I don't think it is a love letter to the movies, but I think there is still admiration at the magic of it, especially.
But it doesn't capture that. This movie,
Maybe.
to me,
I think at the end it does.
yeah, with
Like
the
with,
montage
with Manny
but, like,
watching all those movies and stuff.
Yeah, it does.
Because
but,
like it's really it's like it's like kind of like a butcher shop where like they do all the dirty work, butchering the animal, killing it, and then it arrives nice and neat on your plate at the steak restaurant. You know what I mean? So you don't want to think about everything that came before. You don't want to think of all the people who suffered and died making this piece of artwork that you consume in 2 hours.
Right. Or 3.
Or 3 hours.
I didn't think of it like that. That's actually a really good point. Damn.
Yeah.
I've you remember doing like projects for for college, right?
Yes.
I remember
Not that old, Danny.
there was this one awful shoot that I ended up doing. I wanted to do this shot of the short film where like two people were kind of like laying on the street under a light post. And the whole thing was, I think it was called The Discovery, and like their whole thing is like they discover that they fall in love or whatever. They like each other, right? So they at the beginning of the thing, they start off as friends, just kind of talking, and then they like he mentions that he can't dance and she can, so she teaches him, and then they kind of like it's a real short thing. I wanted to have this cool shot of it going hovering above them, and then it physically pushes in on them going down, and I'm like. There was no mechanism that we had for that. So I decided maybe we can get like a slider to like hold it and dangle it vertically and have two
Sounds
C-stands
like a
hold it up.
terrible idea.
It was awful. It failed on every single level. And we didn't have any power because we had to do it outside and like had to get an extension cord. It was too short. And I'm like, whatever. Sorry guys, waste all your time. I paid everybody some money and gave them pizza and shit. So.
I did that when I was a producer on one of my shows at Plattsburgh. It was a scene I was making that was based on the Community episode. Remedial Chaos Theory. Okay.
There you go.
So
Darkest Timeline.
Basically, it was that, and we couldn't film it all in one night because I did 4 episodes of this, 4 like 10-minute segments that I had to do throughout the semester. I only ended up making 3 episodes of the whole show because we ran out of time, and 4, and I think I filmed twice in my apartment for this. It's the same scenes. Like they had to be all in the same clothes. They had to be all in the same everything.
Yep.
It was such a pain in the ass.
Continuity's a bitch.
We got one of them done, and it was just so hard. It was a great learning experience, though. Like you can't do it all. You need more people. You can't just do it with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, right.
The whole making of a movie is stressful. It's just a fucking shit show. But the final product is what you get there for. It's the magic of making movies. That's the whole point of this. So,
I mean, I was inspired when I saw Almost Famous, and so like it'll inspire people moving on to tell stories and stuff. So that's the real value you get out of it.
I was getting Penny Lane vibes from Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Like,
When
at the
she
end, she's
showed
like,
up, I was like, that's Penny Lane.
Yeah.
That's her getting to Hollywood finally.
Well, it's funny because
no.
I never thought Almost Famous was kind of like a more popular movie than not.
Almost Famous is awesome.
Yeah, I just didn't realize a lot of people
I've only
like really
seen it
liked
once.
it.
Yeah,
Because
so have I, but
like I've seen it pop up here and there with like you know that stupid Regal intro with all the movie quotes that we hate.
Stop.
It's so annoying.
Stop.
The first quote in it is "It's all happening" when she's wearing the Penny Lane coat. It's like you know.
then it just goes downhill from
Yeah, and okay, I might have brought this up on the podcast before, but at the end of it, you know the worker guy in it. He has a voice crack right at the end, and they didn't bother to fix it. Like,
Listen, they only had one day, man.
this is the beginning of your beautiful friendship. Like,
Moving on to Brad Pitt's tragic character, I guess. Yeah. So he kind of goes through his whole range of like, you know, is he really still famous anymore after being in silent movies? Now he has to transfer over to talking pictures, and it's not very easy for him, and it shows.
that was the whole. Well, that's the whole thing with like Sunset Boulevard, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, with
Big
the
Sunset
old woman, she
Boulevard
couldn't
match.
switch.
Yep.
I mean, so we talked about this on La La Land, but remember that interview with Alan Ritchson that I brought up, where like he got to like the peak of probably the peak of his career. You know that he's the guy from BMS.
Oh,
Jack
Alan
Reacher?
Richardson. Yes.
And then he's saying, like, with an interview, is like, once you get to the top, nobody tells you that, like, there's nothing else there. Nothing's going to solve your issues. It's kind of like just, you know, his whole point was, like, you have to find happiness from within and be doing what you love and stuff.
It's easier to get to the top than stay there.
True.
That's the truest quote I've ever heard in my life.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Brad Pitt's whole thing. He wasn't enjoying what he did. No. He was just kind of doing it to supply his party lifestyle and the different women. Like I think the most like poignant part where when he's like, she doesn't even know it's going to end up like all the other ones.
Yeah,
he knows, and he's just kind of going through the motions. Like this is what I do. This is what he thinks he should. You know, he thinks that's all he is.
Yep.
You know, so. I mean, it's probably true with a lot of actors. Very low self-esteem. Yeah. So
I mean, same thing with musicians nowadays, and all of them just like, you know, offer themselves.
Yeah,
and same thing with some actors too. Like it's just like, it's tragic what happens.
Yeah, it really is. Especially how they frame that at the end where he goes into the bathroom. Because I think Chazelle's quoting The Searchers there, where it's like, and at the end of The Searchers. John Wayne as the cowboy leaves through the front door going out in the west saying the future's ahead of him and whatnot. Brad Pitt, he's not leaving, he's going in, and the end is there.
Yeah, he says like, you know, to the waiter,
yeah,
he's like, you're the future, here's all the money. You know.
Yeah,
which is I think the point of the movie though, because like it's like we were saying before, it's about inspiring the next generation. Like they have like a montage of like the next stars after of the talkie era, or after like 30s and 40s and 50s and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just a continuing wheel of, you know, like we're gonna get like, you know, in the next couple of years we're gonna get another big superstar like Millie Bobby Brown or Billie Eilish again, you know. So it's just gonna keep turning. You know,
Just keeps going.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay. Well, I'll just go on to another scene that I liked. It's the one with Margot Robbie with all the upper elites of Hollywood in that house. That was see, I don't think the scene was needed, but it was there, and it was really well done for what it was. She's like, I'm not like these people.
Yeah.
She just, you have to do this, you have to do that. You cannot be yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just, fuck, man. It's just like another part of being a star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really want it.
I like that it was kind of like most of the time you would like. I think the baseline for like people envisioning how stuff works is like it's on a spectrum. There's two ends, but like you know, one end is good, another end is bad. But like what they showed in this movie, like that nightmare of a scene in the silent era, was like I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
you know, and Margot Robbie just kind of like she just kind of like seemed to fall into that, and like I just love doing cocaine and like the party lifestyle and stuff. And then she was dehumanized on set doing her actual work. So she wasn't a human there, and then she's definitely not a human to these people, these Hollywood elites who are all stuffy and definitely not debaucherous. You know, so it's like another instead of a spectrum, it's kind of two sides like of like a cube or whatever. Like you got to find the right side. Right. So I think certain people kind of find balance. Like I think Dave Grohl has that figured out. I think Brad Pitt has been able to be relevant for a while. I think he's like genuinely like cool with what he does and happy, you know, so I feel like certain people in Hollywood have found, like, for lack of a better word, peace.
Manny was kind of he's a producer, so he had to be hard on everyone, and he ended up getting so stressed out that he had to leave. He couldn't stay in Hollywood any longer, and he got out. He's one of the lucky few that got out,
Right.
and lived to tell about it. Pretty much.
It's interesting though, because like he's one of the kind of like the bad guys a little bit. Like he's kind of a perpetrator.
Bad guys get out.
Yeah, but like he kind of silently forgives himself. Like nobody else really knows. You know, he just to the rest of the Hollywood, he just kind of disappeared. You know, but but he starts off as literally getting shit on.
Yep.
And then, and then he just kind of happens to be
out.
in the right place at the right time. Gets to go with Brad Pitt. I forgot his character's name. Jack
Conrad.
Jack Conrad. So he just is like, I like you. You're coming with me. And then he just happened to be at the right place, and he just kept skyrocketing. And then he becomes a studio executive.
Yeah.
Like that's like the Spielberg way. Like that's how he got his career. Apparently, the myth.
No Manuel on the door. Make it Manny.
Yeah. He just wants. I'm Manny, guys. Don't worry. Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's go. Oh, I'm your friend.
Yeah. And then he's like, and then Margot Robbie is, she's kind of failing in the talkie era. So, he's like, oh, I got to straighten her out. I got to be a tough executive. But it's like he's come so
Gotta
far.
bring her to these upper echelon people in Hollywood and make her seem presentable and not basically trailer trash, in other words.
Yeah.
And obviously she has the self-respect to be like, I'm not a dog.
Yeah.
No.
You guys aren't better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting to see. We see all different types of people going through, getting chewed up by this thing and getting out on the other side. Some people didn't make it. Other people did. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Then there's the devil's asshole.
Yeah. This is all.
Tobey Maguire.
It's like, what happens if you don't fit into this world in the first place? You go to the devil's asshole.
Yeah.
You're Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
He was basically playing Bully Maguire for half an hour. Dude, he was. If you can't notice that, I don't know.
That and Alfred Molina in Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very true as well.
A weirdo you don't want to be around, and you're like,
He's like, oh, you guys are going to love this. Taking through literal, like, dark tunnels.
My boy.
I'm like, am I watching Barbarian?
I was expecting the barbarian monster to be down there.
Yeah. Mother. Oh, my God. But yeah. I don't think that shit was needed in this movie, but it was definitely shock value. That's all it was. It's all it was supposed to be.
I couldn't believe he went there.
Yeah.
I genuinely couldn't believe it. I was like,
Because it doesn't
this
fit.
isn't happening.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit
But
traditionally with anything else, but it's like, if the point is to say it's a nightmare, that's the most nightmarish scene. You know what I mean? So, like, it would be, well, yeah, I get, Manny going in there because, he's gone through, like, all the different tiers of
he's
whatever you want to
sinking
call it.
lower and lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, so he's seen all the different ways of life in this thing, and not one of them, at least to me, looks appealing. So, yeah.
And it's also like harkening back to like Freaks, like a classic, like using people with disabilities and whatnot. And it's very bizarre, and I don't know if I appreciate it.
Like, are you saying like Damien Chazelle did it like
I don't know. It started to feel
disingenuously?
exploitative in and of itself.
I can see that.
Like, look at this conjoined twin getting a blowjob. What? I don't know.
Isn't it gross?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
it almost felt like he was starting to succumb to the things he was trying to criticize.
Interesting.
It's very weird. And also, I thought it was funny how, like, the upper echelons of the devil's asshole were more shocking than what's supposed to be the lowest ones. Like, oh, it's just a guy with muscles.
Yeah, he's just eating a rat.
Just eating a rat. I mean, maybe that says a lot about, like, our sensibilities, where it's like, how are you not shocked that a man is eating a rat? And you're like, whatever.
Seen it. Been there. Seen it before.
Never thought I'd see cracked out Bully Maguire though.
Oh my
that
God.
That was something else.
With his yellow teeth. I'm like,
Oh yeah, when he smiled, I was like, "That's the good stuff."
That's the money shot right there. That's the money shot.
Yeah,
but yeah. I mean, so I just had this idea. You might want to cut it out, but
There was an idea.
there was an idea
was
to
a
bring
dream.
together a group of remarkable people. What about like, you know how he's like talking about like wanting to like do all these movies
Yeah.
with him and stuff, but like they were like super offensive and stupid.
Yes.
I just had the idea where like, what if somebody actually did make a movie where like, like a guy in Hollywood gets in trouble with the mob, and then like, you know, he's like, I got a nephew. He wants to be in the pictures, you know, and then he becomes like an actual star.
Shovelman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the case on Curb Your Enthusiasm. The last season, Larry David doesn't have a fence around his pool, and he's going to get fined by the county.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Unless-
and the
unless
girl with the
somebody rats
donut
him
shop.
out and you get the girl. Kind of. It's not as funny, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it would be really funny if the only thing was it was just a guy with muscles. Everyone's like, "What? He's got muscles!"
Oh my God, he's
That's like
freaking
predating,
huge.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock, where it's just
Yeah.
like you're just oogling meat.
That would have been interesting.
That would have
Yeah.
been funny. Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what? Just a guy.
All right, so we've been mentioning this montage for the whole episode, basically at this point.
Yeah.
Why do you guys like that so much? I mean, it's basically just like the finished product type of thing, and then there's Manny realizing like, wait, we did this, and then it's being
Yeah.
rebooted later on. It's another kind of little jab at like Hollywood nowadays, and it's like, everything can get rebooted, cash grabs,
Yeah.
and
It's also like harkening back to that maxim of like there are no new stories to tell.
Well, yeah. There's
It's-
apparently
it's-
7 stories, right? That's the
Only
whole
7
thing.
stories in the world. And so Brad Pitt, I think, asks this when they were starting to transition to sound. Well, what do we have that's different? What do we have that's going to set us apart from what's already been told? And that's what I was thinking Damien Chazelle was trying to reconcile with in those last moments when he's showing Singing in the Rain to Manny, where it's like, yeah, that whole scene with the microphone, yeah, Singing in the Rain already did that. And so the only difference really is tempo, speed, scale.
Yeah.
And and then you get this incredible montage of colors, which I think kind of quotes Godard a bit with Goodbye to Language, where he was really doing experimental stuff. And then you get this weird highlight reel of VFX accomplishments of the past couple decades. You get Avatar, Matrix,
Yep.
Terminator 2.
I think so. Yeah.
There was Persona from Ingmar Bergman, which is phenomenal.
I saw the eye getting slit.
Yes, Xian Andalou.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Oh, Trip to the Moon.
Trip to the Moon.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing. I mean, now it's probably more popular in Nope, but the Black Horse Rider.
Yes, yeah, the Moy Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering where Shrek was. I was kind of disappointed that Shrek didn't show up.
I think it would have been Toy Story though, right? Because that's the
That's
first
true. That's
3D animated.
Yeah, but it didn't.
Yeah, but you know, so I think that whole montage was just kind of being like this entire like fucking bad trip of a movie nightmare, getting chewed up and swallowed by the industry, like saying this is what is the product of it.
Yeah.
And the question is it worth it? That at least to me. So, and I think I don't know. It's very like breaking even, you know. You get just as much as you get out of it. There's no like extra value I'm seeing because like it just seems like an awful place. It's for me.
Yeah.
The awful place to be. But
And it I don't know. It also kind of makes me laugh. Like, who is Damien Chazelle to write history? To be like, these are the biggest movie moments of the 21st century, of the 100 years of film. This. I'm like, come on.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, because there's always that one movie that means something to you more than anything else.
Right. And I don't think
famous.
Chazelle is technically saying that these were my most favorite movies, but I don't know.
Was Citizen Kane in
don't
that
think so.
montage, you think?
I don't think I saw it.
I don't even know if 2001 was in there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be more personally to him.
Babylon.
Babylon.
When do you give it out of 100, Ron?
Out of 100, I might have to go with 75-ish. I appreciate it more for what it's doing in a critical sense, in a historical sense. I found myself not really connecting with the characters as much as I wish I did. And to me, that was the end that I was trying to get. I know with a story that is built around history and whatnot. Maybe it's not always character driven. It's more about atmosphere and everything. But in this film, I really wish I liked Manny more than I did.
Yeah, he's kind of our window into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's the weakest
He's
part.
just kind of there.
Yeah. It's I'll say it again. It's a tough movie to love, but it's a really tough movie to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, at least.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat with you. I think I'll give you a little higher than the 75.
Yeah.
I'll give you a 77. That's what I was thinking, like 78 earlier today. I was like, yeah, now I'm talking about it. I don't know. I was like, I'm going to get a 77. I don't know.
2 points.
I'm weird with my rankings,
You're
but
going to cheat me
like,
by 2 points, Daniel?
I'm gonna
Can't even look at you.
Yep, good. Anyway, yeah, no, technically beautiful. Screenwriting's a little weak, I'd say. The acting is what pulls it together by Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Tobey Maguire. But overall, it's just kind of all fluff, no substance to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think I'm going to give this like, what'd you give it?
77.
77? I'm going to go 78.
Oh, you go my original.
Yeah.
All right.
And like, it's really weird. We've seen the past 3 movies that I've seen have been Avatar, The Way of Water, The Whale, and this movie. Each one of them really excels in one area when it comes to making a film. Like Avatar is obviously the visuals. Effects. The Whale acting, hands down. And then, Babylon is
Production design.
yeah. I don't think production design is the most important, but I'm saying like I view like maybe like 4 or 5 categories are like really important. This one excels at like the message or like the meaning or like kind of putting forth a thesis for the audience to kind of break through and understand. That one really, I really got it, or at least, because it spoke to me in a way.
Great.
So I'm just waiting for that one movie that really ties all of them together, So yeah, 78, it's like,
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Calling it right.
I was going to say Mathregan.
Mathregan.
Mathregan. That's going to come out next week or something. Yeah.
I'm so excited. It's
Hey, maybe Knock at the Cabin's going to do something for us too. I'm hearing Dave Bautista's
it's M. Night Shyamalan.
I'm hearing Dave Bautista is real good in it, so I'm
I don't trust it. Ron Weasley's in it.
Yeah.
Rupert Grint actually is a really good actor. He just
is.
hasn't got a lot of opportunities to shine because obviously Harry Potter.
He's the best friend. That's all he was.
He's yeah.
And also, I am pro old, so I'm hyped.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm pro old. I like old.
What?
I like old a lot. Oh. It's so fun. It's like a haunted
can't
house.
look at you.
Oh no, guys! I want to thank you for my last appearance on Seen It Before. Now that I'm declared persona non grata.
No, we got you booked for one more coming up next year, at least right now.
I already forgot what it was. I
Nolan.
always forget the schedule.
Nolan.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. I think we're gonna try and get Nick Padula on there too.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Sep too. Maybe she'll be in the control room because she loves Nolan's
That'd
her
be cool.
favorite.
That'd be real
Yeah.
cool.
Love it.
Well, anyway, we're Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle @SeenItBeforecast. That's SCENE, It Beforecast. And on Twitter with the handle SIB_pod. I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was. My letterbox and serialized at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. And would you like to plug anything?
No, thank you for having me.
It's right there.
It's right there.
It's right there. His little.
Yeah, like your letterbox, right? Like you.
What's my Tinder doing there?
Oh no.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Cam, thanks for being on again. Love talking this movie. This went a lot longer than we expected, but I love it. I didn't think there was really going to be much to talk about with this movie, but there's a lot more that meets the eye to this movie.
For sure.
All right. Well, as usual, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.